Hi guys, a video on completing the square, which is another way of factorising we use when we have exhausted all the other options. So we've explored highest common factor, difference of perfect square, and monic and non-monic methods of factorising. Now sometimes it's not possible to use any of these and we have to use another method called completing the square. Now it can be a bit tricky to understand. I'm going to try and, because it actually uses the difference of perfect squares method eventually anyway, so you have to know how to do both of them. So just wanted to sort of talk about firstly what we are doing when we're completing a square, and what we're actually doing is creating a perfect square out of something that isn't. So for example, this square, or sort of a part of a square that I've created, we've got a square here which is x plus 5 and x plus 5 length. We're missing a little bit, so looking at this and making it into sort of an area analogy, or a way of looking at it. So say we've got x plus 5, x plus 5. This area here is x squared, and this area here is 5 times x, so 5 times x, and that's 5x. Okay, and of course this one here will be the same because it's the same dimensions. This is also 5x. So if you add all these things up, you get this expression here. Okay, because you've got I'll write this out: x squared plus 5x plus 5x equals 10x. Okay, now this is just sort of an example to show you what completing the square is, and then the name is actually describes what we're actually doing, because we're missing a little bit from this square here, which is obviously this little bit down here. Okay, so we've got our almost square, but we're missing a little bit down here. Okay, so if we had a square of x plus 5 times x plus 5, it would look like this, but we're missing this. So what we're actually doing to complete the square here, okay, we work out what the area is in this little bit here. So that's going to be, obviously, the area is length times width. That's got to be 5, and that's got to be 5. So it's 5 times 5. Okay, 5 times 5. So to complete the square in this example, you 5 times 5, or 5 squared. Okay, so the completed square version of this will be x squared plus 10x plus 25. Okay, so you might notice that in the original example we had 10x. Okay, to get the 5 times 5, you have to divide that by 2, because there's 2 areas. Okay, so what I've done is I've 10 divided by 2 is 5. Okay, because we've got 2 equal sides of x plus 5. Okay, so look, it can be a tricky process when we get down to actually factorising. We're going to look at this x squared minus 7x, and we're going to use this example we did before to visualize it, but we're going to visualize it without the areas. So what do we have to do to complete the square here? Now, if you remember correctly, what we did with this second number here, okay, so remember we started out calling these a x squared plus bx plus c. Okay, so just in general. So if that was if this was okay, this is in this form, so b is -7. Okay, so to complete the square, what we need to do is we need to divide this -7 by 2. Okay, and to get c, which is the bit we have to add on, we square it. Okay, so we square it, which is what we did over here. We had 10x, and we split it up into 2, so we divided it by 2, and then we squared the answer. 5 times 5 is 25. So here, okay, and it does get a bit tricky when we've got fractions. So what we're going to do is we're going to say x squared minus 7x, and to complete that little square at the end, we have to square this. So let's just have a look at this. -7 over 2 all squared. Okay, now if you remember correctly, if you square a negative number, it's always going to end up positive. So whatever, if this has got a negative in it, it doesn't matter. it's going to end up positive. So remember our index rules. Negative 7 squared is 49, or 7 squared is 49, and 2 squared is 4. Okay, so the answer is going to be plus 49 over 4. Okay, so we've completed the square here. So we've added on that little bit there. That is one step in factorizing using completing the square, and I'll show you a little bit more in a second. So there are some questions on that. Okay, so these are just building up your idea of what completing the square is and working with fractions as well. So I'm going to make another video for the factorizing part, so I'll see you in that. Good luck.